So now I'm just going to talk just briefly about Chiron in the signs of the Zodiac. And I'm going to do a separate video, like I said, on... There's a few other things on Chiron I want to get into. But Chiron in Aries is one of the most common ones because Chiron tends to be in this sign for a long time. And the wounding can be through internalizing anger, resentment, because Aries is cardinal fire. People can be, it's the masculine principle, so there can be a wounding around the masculine principle within ourselves, or it's connected to our instincts. It can be a violent sign as well, Aries, so there can be wounding, can be connected to violence. And also I think a really big one for this is the wounding holding back from adventures and not willing to take risks. This can be a big thing for Chiron in Aries, for the Aryan type. It really is the masculine principle. Too scared to take a risk, take a chance, and it can be harder to express our masculinity in this sign. But house placement, of course, is we need to take in consideration as well. So these are a few basics of this Chiron theme in signs. Chiron in Taurus, because the Taurus is deeply linked to the senses and sensuality. So there can be, firstly, wounds. Venus rules is ruled by Venus, so wounds to our own self-esteem, lack of value to the self, not feeling like we're worthy of material. Wounds to our stability with material security can be fine. Wounds of feeling valued and not accepted by others. And we can have wounds because Taurus is quite a hedonistic sign. We can have wounds to do with hedonistic excesses, excessive sex, excessive eating, excessive materialism. Wounding us in various shapes or forms. We've got Chiron in Gemini. Wounds through sibling rivalry, because remember, Gemini is the connection to the sibling. Wounds through our cognitive function, speech. Not feeling we're intelligent enough to express ourselves verbally. Yeah, hard to speak, hard to find a voice. The wounding can be around can't string a sentence together at the moment. Eccentric thinking. Feeling our thoughts aren't valued by the collective or the herd. Wounds in relation to siblings, like I said, learning and communications, and feelings of alienation to do with the siblings. Chiron in Cancer. Wounds in nurturing and caring ourselves, because of course Cancer is the sign of maternity, sensitivity, not being able to express feelings comfortably. Wounds from ancestry and family dynamics, because broken homes, pain related to race and ancestry, like it said before. So there's all these family dynamics to do with the Chiron in Cancer. Chiron in Leo is like wounds to self-esteem and lack of confidence, withdrawal from self, scared of standing out, sensitive to the approval of others, lack of ego, right? Can be very egoless. I mean, you could be a Leo sun and then have a Chiron in Leo, and people, you can be the dead opposite of it, right? Lack of ego. And wounds to the creative principle, children, because Leo rules children. Chiron in Virgo. So suffering. Wounds associated with health, because Virgo is generally the health sign. I've seen this a lot in certain people. obviously because I'm a clinician, but suffering from perfectionism, not feeling everything we do is good enough. And this is a big one for the Chiron in Virgo, neurosis from overthinking. Yep. Overthinking. And, it can be wounds to do with health, a lot to do with hygiene. I'd probably throw in psychological hygiene in that one. But suffering from perfectionism, the Virgos can be an extremely neurotic sign if, I've seen in difficult angles to Chiron and all that kind of thing in Virgo, so the Chiron in Libra, so wounds in relation and compromising too much. Wounding of the feminine principle. Losing identity in another, because Librans is always about seeing both sides of things, and it's very easy to lose our identities from living just for another person. Because Libra's always the sign, remember, like Aquarius, you always need someone else on these relationships. So wounds from marriage, superficial relations. Librans can be extremely superficial. May have lack of good coupling or relationship imageries that are positive to enhance a good relationship. A Chiron in Scorpio, wounding from not speaking the truth, not addressing deeper issues from secrets not being told, wounds from sex scandals and abuse. Addictions is a big one for this, actually. I've seen quite a few people recently in clinic who have ended up in rehab. This is why I did my talk on astrology and addictions, but a lot of them had Chiron in Scorpio. So wounds of loss of power, trust, psychological manipulation may be limited by lack of early images of intimacy. It's an interesting one. The denial of death or the denial of going beneath the surface of appearances. Scorpio's deep. So very powerful sign. A lot to do with the psyche. All the water elements, the wounding can be really a lot more intense. So Chiron in Sag, a religious wound of some kind. We could have come up in a really dogmatic family, a cult. Wounds to do with our belief systems. This is a big one, actually. Never-ending search for knowledge, feeling we never know enough. This can be a big one with Chiron in Sag or Chiron in the 9th house. I haven't talked about the houses. I'll do a different one on that. A talk on that. Wounds from foreign cultural lands. Wounding from higher education. For some reason now we've got all the degrees, but really hasn't made much difference to our lives, hasn't benefited us anyway. A wounding in inherited denial of religion, beliefs, or philosophical base to life. So maybe we grew up without any deep philosophical insight, or didn't have a chance to delve deeper into those philosophical subjects. Chiron in Sag. Chiron in Capricorn. Definitely wounding from father figures. Might as well throw in government there. Form and structure not good enough. So looking at your physical body, you can look at it on that level and go, God, I don't look good enough. I'm not good enough. Wounding in relation to authority figures. That can be parents, government as well. That's a substitute parent. And too much responsibility placed on us. So we can have these wounds from an early age of where we're just thrown into responsibility at a young age, where we couldn't grow up and really have a childhood. That's a big one for Chiron in Capricorn. Chiron in Aquarius, wounding from our own individuality. Not being able to express our own authentic image of self. Wound coming from losing identity with the crowd. That's a really big one, actually. And collectively, I think we're probably going through that. Pluto's in Aquarius now, but that we can, because Aquarius is always about this sign, a humanitarian sign, so it's the crowd. It rules kind of the crowd and individuation at the same time. It's a very interesting sign, Aquarius. It's a really unique sign, actually. Afraid of progress, wounding from afraid of progress, wanting to progress. And in another one, there can be a big disconnection from self. Yeah. Chiron in Pisces, wounding from excessive altruism. I would pin that to Aquarius as well, actually, because that can be the sign of altruistic. But I think Piscean has because it's so sensitive as a sign and compassionate, they can tend to want to, they can selfless to the point of losing the whole identity within themselves. You know, the Pisces type can have really weak boundaries, making us prone to psychic attack. And it reminds me, actually, because there was a herb I came across here, and it was actually in Brian's notes. It was called Coronia, and it's a native of South Africa. And I think they made a bark flower remedy out of this. I'm not sure if I remember correctly when I was reading my notes, but it's to do with kind of the Chiron in Pisces type thing, when we're drained by others psychically. This psychic sensitivity is really, we can become too easily victims. It's the wounding around victimhood. That can be a Piscean thing as well, but easily under psychic attack. And I would do the Australian bush flower essence that comes to mind would be fringe violet around this one. But it's interesting how this herb was called Chironia. And so it's a native in South America. I found that really interesting. Yeah, and that was the last one, guys. So I'll wrap that up here. But I will do another one. I'm going to do a follow-up on this theme in Chiron. We'll talk about Chiron going through the 12 houses. So if you come this far, thanks for listening, and we'll be in touch for further videos. So thank you.